Hello, everyone, and welcome to A New Direction. My name is Jay Izzo, and oh man, do we have a great show for you. I'm telling you. Listen, we're about to challenge all the myths and all the things that you believe when it comes to selling. I'm telling you that today because today is not going to be a show for the faint of heart. So, got to know how tough you are, sales managers out there. You want to tell me how tough you are? Well, let's see how tough you are because we're about to challenge what you believe for most all of you. And we're about to challenge you, salespeople, into what you believe. You've believed the same thing over and over again. We've got to just pull the whip out and we got to get them to get their scripts and we've got to push them into and sale, quota, sale, quota. Yeah. There's another way. And it's beautiful. And I'm going to be talking to the author of this book, Stacy Hall. It's called Selling from Your Comfort Zone: The Power of Alignment Marketing. We are going to challenge you today. So here's what I'm going to say to you. Okay, we've talked about mindsets on this show a lot. Yeah. All right. First of all, I need you to have an open mindset, not a closed mindset. I need you to make sure that you're open to at least listening. Okay. Here's the second thing. I need you to have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Right? Because growth mindsets that mean that we believe that we can grow, we believe that others can grow, we believe that we can change, that we can do something different. Instead of being a fixed mindset, they'll never change, they'll never, right? We need to have those two mindsets for sure. Okay. Right. On the show. So I'm asking you, right, if you'd be willing to have an open mindset and a growth mindset today, because Stacy is going to challenge you today. But before we get to her, let's do what we do every week, right? And I walk you through the 4 areas of your life. We are 4-part people. We are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual people. And here's the truth, right? If we are not working on ourselves, if we're not growing, truth is we're dying because we never stay static. So we need to be working on all 4 of those areas our entire life, which we can, regardless of your age, right? So here's how we do it on the show. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this area of my life is blah, and then 10 is this area of my life is wow, could not be any better, right? So let's take the physical area, for example. So if you were to evaluate yourself in eating right, getting enough exercise, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, which by the way, have everything to do with being a great salesperson, by the way, believe it or not. Actually, she mentions that in the book. How would you rate yourself, 5 being average? All right, now, here's the thing. Whatever your number is, that's okay. Right? We're not judging you about your number. It's your starting place of where you can get better. All right. So if your number's a 2, all right, what can you do right now to change that to 2.5 or 2.25? Right? That's how it works. Okay. So there's your first number. Second number is your mental intellectual number, right? We can't be on the couch just thinking things are going to come at us. We have to be an active participant in our learning and our growth, right? Because it's really important that we exercise our mind. We got 2 halves of a brain. We have, a right half, which is the creative half. And then we have the left half of our brain, which is the more logical half of the brain. And we need to be doing things actively in order to grow in our knowledge and wisdom and what we do and what we learn. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say you're doing in that? By the way, reading a book is a great way to be actively learning. All right. Awesome way to do that. All right. So that's your second number. Third number is the emotional number. We break it down really, really simply here. We don't make it real complicated. Here's how that works. How would you rank yourself when it comes to being able to control your emotions under stress and pressure? That's the first part. And then the second part is how well are you able to tap into, truly listen, and understand the emotions of other people. Both are important, right? Because you're in control of both of those, right? Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you don't have to get mad. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't. I know that comes as a shock to you, right? I mean, the other thing though is empathy is incredibly powerful and important. And that's the second part of our emotional intelligence, is being able to tap into and understand where another person's come from. You know who says that? It's really interesting. Stacy Hall says that in her book when it comes to selling. We'll talk about that too. And then the final area is the spiritual area. And I kind of had a little epiphany about the spiritual area because people sometimes will say, the spiritual area doesn't make any sense to me, that we're spiritual. I don't know that we are spiritual. I'm going to ask you a question. Where does the wind come from? I'll wait. We don't know, do we? Do you see the wind or do you see the results of the wind? See, that's what the spiritual area is in your life. It's very difficult to explain that, but at the same time, it is a wind that you can't see, but we can see the results of. And when you're in a spiritually great place, what happens is circumstances can be miserable, but you can have a sense of peace and still have a sense of joy.
Mhm.
Now, how does that happen for you? Does that happen through God? Does it happen through nature? Does it happen through meditation? And then the question you have to ask is it working? Are you experiencing it? And can others see it? And if it's not, then you need to change it. Those four areas are like the tires in your car, on your car, right? If the tire's air is not filled up to the right height, what happens, right? The car starts to veer off one way or another. It doesn't run right. It doesn't work efficiently. You're wasting gas. You're doing all sorts of things. And if all four of your tires are low, what happens? Well, oh my gosh, what happens is it just doesn't work well and you ruin the car. And speaking of someone who's got her air filled to the right level, her name is Stacy Hall. She is a success strategist, legacy builder, sales team recruitment and management and business coach, and has coached thousands of entrepreneurs on how to attract sales satisfaction and success. She is the best-selling author. She's a TEDx presenter and leading social media marketing expert. She's also the founder of Success with Stacy Hall and of the groundbreaking social media marketing training program, Go for Yes, which has helped thousands of people attract more sales, customers, and employee satisfaction and success. Her latest book is Selling from Your Comfort Zone, The Power of Alignment Marketing. And she joins us here today. Welcome to A New Direction, Stacy Hall, and everybody give her a big hand. All right.
Thank you. My goodness, what an introduction to me. And more importantly, what a fabulous introduction to ourselves. That was just a delight. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's something we started 5 years ago, and we've just never stopped. Every show, it's just something that I think people count on it now. Actually, I think they do. All right, so let's dig into the book because we got a lot to cover. I've got 35 pages of notes. You're going to be on here for at least 22 hours without sleep or food. So let's get that going.
I'm ready.
You're ready to do that? Okay, awesome. Okay, so we have a number of problems when it comes to the sales industry. In fact, you've been quoted as some great statistics that you found. Greenberg, Weinstein, Sweeney, in their book, found that 55% of people earning a living in sales should be doing something else. 55% of people should be doing something else other than selling. They also found that 20 to 25% have what it takes to sell, but they should be selling something else.
Right.
And then another source you found was that 55% of salespeople don't have the right skills to even be successful in sales. What's going on? Help us resolve that a little bit.
Well, I'm going to give my perception of it.
Okay.
From everything that I've read, and I've spent a lot of time, a couple of years researching statistics because I was looking for some good news and I wasn't finding it, to be perfectly honest. It's pretty scary. It doesn't matter whether you're sales for a company or you're in sales for yourself on behalf of a network marketing company. The numbers are not good, no matter what they tell you. There's a reason why people are not doing well in sales, and it has to do with the way sales has been taught. The practice of selling has been taught for decades, which has left a perception in everybody's mind. So there's a statistic in the book that says the number one word associated with the word salesperson is pushy. Like pushy salesperson, they go together.
Mm-hmm.
So even when somebody becomes a salesperson, it's almost like they're embarrassed to be one. So it's a very noble profession. That's what I believe. Very noble profession, because what we're doing is we're helping connect people with the solutions to the problems they say they want to have solved. That's what sales could be.
Right.
But instead, it's become this whole, like, I just have a series of cartoons in my head. You probably do too, when we think of salespeople and trying to get the foot in the door, and somebody says no and they keep talking, and that's what's going on. It's the sales training that has produced such a negative viewpoint of what sales is.
I was thinking about where to go with this, and then I kept coming back to your equation, which I just think is brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it is this ABC model of alignment,
Mhm.
which is you have, and everybody write this down. Okay. Right. If you're driving in your car, don't write this down now, but write it down later. But it is alignment plus belief times consistency, and it equals 3 S's, right? It's satisfaction and success are two of them. What's the one S I'm missing?
Sales. Sales. Sales, satisfaction, and success.
Yeah, sales, satisfaction, and success.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me repeat that again. It's alignment plus belief times consistency equals sales, satisfaction, and success.
Yes.
All right, so here's what I want to dig into, because basically your book breaks this down beautifully, because alignment is critical to getting through our problems of sales on so many levels. So I think we should start there. Are you good with that?
I'm very good with that. And it is. I mean, let's start with A.
Okay.
There's 4 parts to being in alignment as a salesperson, sales professional. Now, I'm going to say this is true for everybody in any walk of life. The book could have been called Living from Your Comfort Zone, but I wanted to really explain why it's so important if somebody's going to be successful in sales, how they must get in alignment with themselves first. So the first thing is, and this goes back to the statistic you said, that 25% of people in sales should be selling something else.
Yes.
Like they couldn't be good at sales. They're just selling the wrong product. It's because they've not gotten to what are your core values? What is important to you? What problems have you personally had solved in your own life? Like that's what we're all supposed to ask ourselves first before we decide what we're going to sell. It's more about who am I? What I'm all about?
Right.
Where are my skills? Where are my strengths? Where are my values?
Right.
And what do I have experience with in my life through my years of overcoming trials and tribulations? What could I help someone else do better or learn how to resolve better? Start there. From there, then we create our own personal brand for ourselves. Like, what do I stand for? Be in alignment with what I stand for. For me, what I stand for is I help entrepreneurs transform from being product pushers into wisdompreneurs. I help people stop just selling a product and learn how to monetize what the education, the message, the knowledge that comes from their mouth. And oh, by the way, also sell their product, right? So I have a personal brand that I stand in. Whether I could be doing that even if I worked for a corporation. Right? I'd have my own personal brand because I'm the person doing the selling. The company isn't doing the selling. I'm doing the selling. So who am I in that moment? Then it all is about who's the audience, the ideal audience, not a target, but the kinds of people who are just like I am when I needed things to be resolved. And I'm going to give an example even of selling a copier in a moment, not just because this isn't just for coaches or skincare. I'm going to talk about big ticket items. Okay. That this is who are the people that need that and why do they need it? And what problems do they need to have solved? And then the last place of alignment, Jay, is now where are those people hanging out? So I can meet them, hear what they're talking about, and be right there to help resolve the problems they're talking about. So that's the 4 steps of alignment. And I answer those questions, or I give questions beyond that to help people get to the answer of alignment.
So here's the thing, though, that you say about alignment that's important is when we talk about aligning with ourselves, what you're really talking about is aligning with our own core values, right?
100%. Our values, our gifts, our skills, our strengths, our power.
I think this is something we can't overlook, because if we don't know what our core values are,
yes,
which I think by the way, I don't know if this has been the same with you coaching as coaching clients I've worked with, but if you ask them, what are your core values? They have a difficult time coming up with them. And so then we do a job, or we do sales, for instance. You go into a sales place, but you don't even know what your core values are. Well, you're completely out of alignment. How can you be successful actually in anything if you
In
don't know?
anything, right. Well, I do. I make a big case about that in the book. I will say that while most people don't get ever asked what are their core values,
Right.
if I say, what are deal breakers for you in life? Like in a
Mm.
relationship, what would be a deal breaker for you? I can get to the core values like that. And I agree with you that people who go to work for companies, they're looking at the money. How much money can I make?
Yes.
As opposed to, all right, I hear what their mission is, but we don't ask enough questions about how do they put that mission into practice. The mission can sound really good,
Right.
but in practice, what percent of the company is actually living up to the mission, right?
Right.
Is the bot like when I was in corporate America, I saw missions. I can also tell you some of my bosses had no clue what the mission was. And if they
Right.
did, they didn't care because they weren't following it.
Right.
And so these are where we could be taking more control from our career, in our career, by doing that. So I'm thrilled that you brought that up, the core values.
But it's too critical, because there is a disconnect. It's not in alignment. When you read this is our core values on the wall, but no one else is doing them, but you hired yourself to what you read on the wall versus what's in the culture.
That's right.
How can you be successful in that environment?
It can't. And that's,
right.
I mean, I think we've all probably, I mean, I don't know anybody, let me put it that way. Maybe there's the rare person out there where we've done that. We've gotten into a situation and then we're supposed to go out and sell on behalf of that company when we don't really believe in it, right? And so we talk ourselves into believing in the product or the service that we really can't. So, for example, let's take the Xerox, excuse me, not brand name, but copier machine. Okay. Example.
By the way, Xerox is welcome to be if they want to sponsor this show, we are absolutely happy for Xerox to sponsor the show. So
me too.
I'm okay with that. So go ahead.
I'm not going to say anything derogatory about the company. I don't actually mention a particular company. But let's say somebody is selling a very expensive copier machine, which I know isn't just called a copier machine. They do all sorts of things, bells and whistles, into, let's say, a law firm that has a lot of needs for that machine. Well, the person selling that machine on behalf of the company has to have some understanding of what it's like to be the person they're selling it to. And that I don't think ever really gets asked in interviews. They would say, so how would you handle this objection? Not, how could you relate to the person who does this kind of a job and then relies on our machines to do that job? Does that make sense, Jay? Like,
no, yeah, because what you're saying is, because we do, listen, I'm all about behavioral interviewing, right? And we put people, when we interview them, into these behavioral situations. We want to see what the response is, but we very rarely ask, okay, what do you think that firm, if we're selling to this attorney firm, this copy multi machine, what do you think they're experiencing without one, or without one that works well? I think that's the question you're asking.
Well, that not actually even the company, the person who would be making the buying decision. And if it's not the person making the buying decision who's going to use it, they're doing it on behalf of the person who is.
Right.
What kind of experience do you have with that?
Right.
Now, a lot of people would say, I've never worked in a law firm, so I don't know. But if you can definitely get into the core values and the reasons why people want to be successful and do a good job, then you can find a way to relate to what they're feeling. And that's what alignment is about. Alignment is, I know myself, I know my own experiences. I feel secure enough that if anybody has gone through anything that I've gone through in a similar way, I'll be able to have empathy for them.
Got it.
Alignment equals empathy, right?
Yes.
So so that's where it is. Belief that I can have empathy for the other person. So I don't have to go in armed with a script of what am I supposed to say. It's belief that I can relate to this person and they can relate to me. And then consistency is consistently showing up like the person you say you are, and consistently taking the actions to keep building your audience. And consistency falls apart when people don't have belief that they can relate to others.
We're going to, you know what, this is so good. And we're going to dig more into this, but hold on right here. By the way, we're talking with Stacey Hall, the book, Selling from Your Comfort Zone, The Power of Alignment Marketing. You're listening to her here on A New Direction. Hey, folks, Epic Physical Therapy. Listen, whether you're recovering from an injury, surgery, suffering everyday aches and pains, you're a professional athlete or wannabe athlete, you know what? They work with them all. Listen, when you need your epic relief, your epic recovery, your epic results, don't look any further. Go to epicpt.com. That's EPICPT.com. And Linda Craft Team Realtors. For more than 38 years, they've been helping people transition in life. Think about it. Every place you've ever lived has been a transition in your life. Well, they've been successfully doing that for thousands of people for over 38 years. They would love to help you transition to your next stage of life, whether it's selling your home, buying your home, whatever that transition does, they will take the stress out of it and they will make it as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. So why not check them out? It's lindacraft.com. That's LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with Stacey Hall and her book, Selling from Your Comfort Zone, The Power of Alignment Marketing. And so, Stacey, I'm going to dig, before we go, I'm going to dig a little bit more into alignment before we get too far away from it, because we didn't talk about comfort zone. And because I mean, after all, it is, you know, kind of in the center of the book, and it's kind of, we probably should talk about that. When we're talking about comfort zone, what are we really talking about here?
Exactly that zone of alignment. That's what it is. Okay. So there is nothing you can ask me about the comfort zone I haven't heard. People say you have to get out of your comfort zone if you're going to be successful. And I say, okay, let's see if this is true.
Okay. When
you're out of your comfort zone, Jay, where are you? When you're out of it, where are you?
I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. What else? Where else are you?
I'm a little lost.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm at. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I feel like an imposter. I will either freeze or fight or run away when I'm terribly uncomfortable.
So let me ask you, do you think those are traits and skills and abilities that are going to have you be successful in life or in business? Feeling that way, do you think it will make you successful?
No.
That's why I said, look at people and say, everyone says exactly what you just said, all of that.
Right.
Then I say, all right, if you have access to your core values, if you have access to your skills, you have access to your gifts, you have access to your purpose, you have access to your confidence, do you think that would help you be successful?
Sure.
Well, thank you. You just defined your comfort zone. I mean, that's you being in alignment with yourself.
If I have access to it, certainly. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you do. It's all right there.
Right.
Now you know where you are, right? Now you know what to do. So I say we want to always be expanding that zone, always be using all of that that's in there to keep growing it,
right, and
do more. But why would I ever step out of it into the unknown? For what?
Right. Right.
I get a little passionate about this.
No, I can hear it. And so can everybody else who's watching and viewing and listening there too. And who's going to be watching this on TV? They're going to be seeing this as well, by the way. Yeah. So no, I get it. But I mean, you should be. You should be passionate about it, because I think, we just had, Dr. Ron Alexander here last week talking about creativity. And he goes through, if you're overly stressed, if you are being in a position where you're not sure what you're doing and where you're at, you cannot have the creativity available to you to solve problems, which is what creativity does. So it only makes sense that if we're overly stressed because we're so far out of our comfort zone, how are we going to have the creativity to actually, and empathy even, in order to sell?
Yeah.
Effectively.
It's ludicrous. That's the word I say. It's like, and I'm going to say we, because for the longest time I was spouting that. Like, of course I have to get out of my comfort zone. It is ludicrous. And we've been sold a bill of goods by people who, for some reason, want to keep us all out of our own alignment, off our center, so that we rely on them. That's the funny part about it. The very people who say you need to get out of your comfort zone, they're saying it because they want you to do something they want you to do.
Yeah. That makes sense. I'm going to move on a little bit further here. You ask a question and give kind of an answer. The question is, why are successful salespeople unlikely to be successful? And you attribute this to two facts: the company's recruitment and sales, the sales process, and then the company reassigning employees to positions that do not match their skills. And then you hit us in the face with this headline.
Oh, oops.
The responsibility lies with the salesperson.
Yes.
Would you like to expand on that?
Well, I'm saying again, we're just, this is like kind of a circle.
Right.
Okay. I completely understand. A brand new sales professional doesn't know what they don't know.
Right.
But they do know themselves. And you are the one, Jay, who said this. When we know our core values, it makes it easier to know where we belong, where we're a fit. Okay. So the reason I believe that many people come to my trainings is all I have to say is, do you like hearing no? Do you like having a script that you have to learn to say? Do you like having to overcome objections? I ask people those three things and I keep hearing no, 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 no. And I say, but are you asked to do that in your business? Yes. Why are you doing it? Because I thought I had to. But why do you have to? Because that's what they train us to do. Right. There is another way. It's called being a human being and being able to understand people, have empathy, make sure before you start calling people that you understand not everybody's going to want what you're selling. So identify very clearly who would be likely to say yes to you. So I'm known as the Go for Yes gal. I hate hearing no.
Right.
There is a way to find out very quickly whether somebody's going to say a yes to you all the way along. And that process is in the book.
You talk about a problem in chapter 5 that we have, which is entitled Staying Inside Your Comfort Zone Increases Your Credibility with Prospects, which we're still on here a little bit. But the problem you say is most people sell from their mind instead of their heart.
Yeah.
Alignment is the connection from the heart to the ears and mouth.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through that a little bit?
I'd be happy to. A script has to be learned and kept up here. The belief that I can help someone lies here. It's just that simple. So when you and I are talking about that 4-part of alignment of getting back in here, that's it. Trust has, I also say in the chapter, trust has to be present before anybody will hand over money. If we're asking for $1, doesn't need to be a whole lot of trust. If we're asking for $1,500, there has to be a whole lot more trust. The fastest way to build trust is for somebody to feel how genuine we are. And you can't make that up. We can feel when it's coming from our head, right? If you're in a conversation with somebody right now, so let's play. I'm going to pretend like I'm coming from my head. Okay, which means I have to, because I'm too passionate about what I talk about. So I'm going to lie right now.
Okay.
Right. So Jay, I'm just going to tell you, having a script really makes it so much easier to be able to talk to your prospect, because you already know what it is. Anything they're going to say to you, you're going to be prepared to talk to them about. Right? Could you hear that? That it was coming, like I'm up here.
Okay, there's nothing believable about anything you just said.
Right. Right. You felt nothing. It was all this.
Right.
Okay. So Jay, I found if I am with a prospect and I'm asking them more questions about themselves, like how did you get into this job? What do you love about it? What is the most difficult part of it for you? If you could improve the way things are running right now, what would you want to improve? If I'm asking questions like that and I'm listening to the answers and I'm engaging in a real conversation, I find that trust gets built up much faster that way. And I start actually forming a friendship. Right now, I'm going to ask you, don't lie to me. Did you feel my belief in what I
Oh
was
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I felt that there was a passion, and I felt that there was more emotion behind
Yes.
it, and I felt that there was a more genuineness and more authenticity to it
That's it.
than what you gave me the first time trying to convince me I should have scripts.
Right. And that's what I did that demonstration deliberately, what scripts do to people and what happens when we just have that belief that we're really interested in the other person, that empathy, and we believe that can be aligned with this person. There's something there that we can find to be connected to around each other, and we're listening for it with empathy.
Yeah, that's good. And you were doing a beautiful segue into what I was about to ask next. And so you must know this book really, really well.
A little bit.
A little bit, because you talk about trust, but you talk about in chapter 6 the know, like, and trust. Which, by the way, I am 100%. I don't know why we ignore it so frequently in the sales cycle, but know, like, and trust is so crucial. Let's talk about that principle. And because I think we are trying to figure out a way to get to trust without knowing, liking first. I think that's what we're trying to do.
Right. And of course, I didn't create that. This has been known for a long time because this is the way friendships get built. Every friendship any of us have ever had, we've met the person. We thought, I might like this person. Let me keep engaging with them. Let me see if we can build a friendship, a relationship. We do. All of a sudden, it's not like the bell rings and go, oh, trust is present. It's just there. All of a sudden, we relax into the relationship and we get the sense that the other person is not out to harm us in any way. And we might really enjoy what they have to say. Why would we not follow that same pattern when we're connecting with people to grow our business, to make sales? It is the same pattern. Get to know them, engage in conversations, see if you like each other. If you do, trust is going to be built. And you know what? Prospects become clients because they say, so tell me, what have you got for me today? Tell me, what's new?
Right. And here's the thing. You quoted statistics that 86% of consumers say loyalty is primarily driven by likability.
Yes.
Right. And 83% of consumers say it's trust. So the two, I think what happens is we don't want to take the time to be known. And we certainly don't want to be vulnerable enough to be likable. But we want to be trusted. And we don't want to take time in that process. I feel like that's what happens in so many sales calls and so many sales with so many salespeople. Do I have that right?
Well, first off, you're touching on every word that I love, every description I love, the genuineness, the authenticity, absolutely. So I'm going to give an actual example.
Okay.
I sent out a friend request through social media to somebody who I know I have things in common with. I'm going to make it very general because she might be listening. I don't want anybody to think it's them. So with that said, the response that came back was, I like what you said, Stacy, because when I send a friend request, I make it genuine. and I'm not pitching anything. I want to get to know them because know, like, trust. She said, but generally, if I say yes, then the person gets on the phone and pitches me something. And I said in return, how could I pitch you anything when I don't know you? I have no idea whether you could use anything I have or not.
Right.
I simply want to get to know you. We have things in common. Maybe you're a prospect. Maybe you're a collaborator. Maybe you're none of those things. Can't we just get to know each other? We had a half-hour conversation. Trust was built in that half-hour conversation. She wants to connect me with somebody who could really help me out, and I've got the exact person to introduce to her. We're not selling to each other. She has helped me in my business, and I've helped her in hers because trust got built in a half an hour. And that's what I think folks think trust takes days, weeks, years. No, you can build trust quickly if you're genuine and you're authentic.
Yeah, and that leads me to, because again, you're segueing into this so well, because you have a subheading that says, so when is the right time to ask for the sale?
I would say that most of the time, I never have to ask for the sale. I never have to say, do you want to see what I have? Because I'm asking them, well, let me start with this. Jay, you've heard of the principle of reciprocity, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Big believer in it. Huge believer in it. Seen the research. Yeah.
Absolutely. So as I said, in this particular situation with this person, I genuinely wanted to learn about her so I could hear if there's any way I could help. So I'm really listening to her tell me all about herself and what her goals are and what she needs. And but she then, of course, asks me about me. What am I up to? What am I doing? What do I love? And that's where I get the opportunity to say, this is what I do. This is why I do it.
Right.
If she has told me she needs it and I'm telling her I have the solution, she's automatically going to say to me, tell me more about that.
Right.
So in the situation I just told you, she's not a prospect for me directly, but she knew somebody who is. And said, I didn't even have to say, could you refer me to anybody you know?
Right.
I just was saying who I am. And she's like, I've got to connect you with so-and-so.
Right.
And I did the same thing. So it's that moment when the person says, I know how I can do something for you.
Right.
Then the trust is built. And sometimes it's going to be, yes, I want to know that for me. And sometimes it's going to be, I'm going to introduce you to this person because I know they need this.
And this really works us into part 3 of the book, where are you in alignment with your prospects? Because now you just demonstrated alignment with your potential prospect. Correct?
Exactly. She and I are now friends. Half-hour conversation, friends. Nothing pushy, nothing spammy occurred between us. All that occurred was, I know who you are now. You know who I am. We know that we can help each other. We're going to keep coming back. And who knows, maybe at some point she might have a need. I might have a need. The relationship is built. My business is that much stronger because I have somebody who is connected to people I want to be connected to, and vice versa.
See, I think what people struggle with is they go, it's going to take too long. And, I don't want to be friends with my customers. I just want to sell them something. Right. I mean, I know I can hear it. Right. I mean, I can hear them say it.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've heard people say this to you. I'm sure you've heard sales managers say, listen, I don't want people to be friends with their clients. I just want them to sell what we have to sell. They've got to meet a quota.
That's what this book is going against that. And pray that one sales manager out there will actually hear and say, do you want people to sell? If so, allow them to be themselves. And not only did I hear it, I just talk about it in the book. I grew up, my father was in sales. This is what I grew up with, listening to the tapes that say that it's business is war. You need to get on top of things. If you don't get out there with your armed armed with a script. They're going to take advantage of you. And I can remember so clearly one day when it hit me, I was brushing my teeth. And I'm coming back because I remember, like, for whatever reason, it was running through my head that, and I went, so wait a second, I'm supposed to be friends with enemies? I don't get it. My business is supposed to be built with people I'm not friendly with.
That don't like you.
I like, or don't like, or I'm not allowed to let
That
them
want,
like me.
that want to be adversaries to you.
Yeah.
That object to you. That just doesn't even make sense the more you think about it.
Yeah. I'm saying, and I did, and thus you have the book. Because that's the point. And in this day and age where people are quietly quitting because they're going off to find themselves and find their purpose.
Right.
The reason people are trying to find their purpose is they want to know how they can help people. So here's the other oxymoron. They're leaving sales jobs where they could be helping people to go find themselves and ways to help people. And that's happening because of the sales training and the sales management that's happening. So do you know, just about every company out there there are huge holes where people are supposed to be in sales positions because they're running away from the profession.
Wow.
All those statistics are out there too. How many job openings do companies have in their sales department? It's just disgusting.
Her name is Stacy Hall. Boy, I hate, doing a segue after she just uses the word disgusting, because the book is not disgusting. The book is absolutely fantastic. She's incredibly passionate, and that comes through both in her, as you listen to her, and in the book. You listen to her here on A New Direction. Folks, Epic Physical Therapy, they offer the most advanced top-of-the-line equipment, the Alter G anti-gravity treadmill, Normatec compression sleeves, Game Ready, which is my favorite. That's just a few. They're trained and certified, most comprehensive, cutting-edge treatments available, like blood flow restriction therapy, dry needling, cupping, and that's just a few. Listen, when you're ready for your epic relief, your epic recovery, your epic results, don't go any further. Go to epicpt.com. That's EPICPT.com. And Linda Craft Team Realtors, for more than 38 years, they're helping people transition in life. Well, yeah, think about it. Whenever you sold a house, whenever you moved into a new apartment, wherever you moved, right? Whether it was a kid or whether it was as an adult, the truth of the matter is it was a life transition, right? If you have children, your children are moving to a new school, it's a transition for them, right? It's a transition. What they want to do is they want to help you make that part of your life transition as easy and as smooth as possible. And Linda and her expert team has been doing that for 38 years. They understand what it takes to make a move. Whether you're downsizing, upsizing, selling, or buying, she would love to help you make that transition life. You can just go to lindacraft.com. It's LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with my friend Stacy Hall. Are you enjoying this at all, Stacy?
I'm enjoying chatting with you. I always have fun chatting with you.
This has been a blast. I'm enjoying this. I'm having a lot of fun. I want to talk about the me approach.
Okay.
What is the me approach, and why should that not be part of what we do?
Okay. Well, the me approach is how salespeople got the description of being pushy, and it is, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I'm here to tell you about this latest, greatest thing that I've got, and I'm sure that you're going to want to have it and need it. And so let's get talking, shall we? That's me. It's all about me. It's all about what I got. It's all about what I want to do. It's nothing about you. And that is how things are taught. Yesterday on LinkedIn, like I'm laughing my head off at the people who I'm not saying the paid version of LinkedIn is not worth it if you're using it correctly.
Sure.
I love it when people do it thinking that they're going to be able to push their stuff out without having to make connections.
Yes.
I'm sure you're getting these all the time too.
Yes.
And you know it because it comes as in mail. So you know they paid extra for this. And nothing about what I'm up to, what I'm doing, or even caring what I'm up to. The message is all, hey, I've got this thing and I know you're going to want to see it. And here's the link and let me know. And then I sometimes play I love to play explore and discover. So I'll write back and go, so is this pitch working for you? Is it working for you? Oh, well, and then what comes back is, well, if you're not interested, you could have just said no. Like, but wouldn't you like to know that there's a better way? I mean, you've just spent all this
Yeah.
money. Why are you doing a me pitch?
I listen, I get it. I will write back. We're so similar because I will write back to these people and go, you know, I'm here to create relationships. If you're not interested in a relationship, why are you doing this?
Yes. Yes.
I said, so let's get to know each other. I'll tell you what, let's just start here and let's just direct message each other. Let's just get to know who we are. And then maybe if there's anything in common, we'll talk about selling something. Do you know the percentage of people who take me up on this? I actually, there was only one person that ever took me up on it. And then they only did it for a day and I never heard from them again.
Now, of course, because they have a script.
Right.
They don't have I'm saying this, whoever the human being is, of course,
Yeah.
they have a heart. And
Sure.
in that moment, when they put on the hat for sales, they take their heart off. And that's how many connection requests, Jay, do you get? Either Facebook or LinkedIn, and they never send a message, and you send a message back and you never get a message back.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand what the word connection means?
Right.
Just wondering.
Yeah. I gotta ask you about being a Yoda. Because it was such a great little subtitle, right? We've kind of talked about it, but what do you mean? Because you know, because listen, you're going to talk about Star Trek, right? So we want to feel like everybody could be the Luke Skywalker. I mean, who didn't, right? And they want to be on their own journey in their life. Your job is to be a Yoda. What do you mean by being a Yoda?
It's be like Yoda. Like Yoda didn't say a whole lot.
Right.
Look, Yoda listened. And then Yoda provided a solution to a problem.
Right.
Right? It's just that simple. Just be a Yoda. Be like Yoda. Be smiling and calm and cool. Although I haven't been so calm and cool here. But the idea is when we're with somebody, when we're in a conversation, listen.
Right.
Be like that. And when you hear that there's a problem, offer a solution if they're open to hearing it. And it's just that simple. So no, I'm going to say that I really can't get into all the Star Wars analogies and metaphors. And that one, it's just like just be chill. Be chill.
I love it. That's so awesome. You're so good. That's awesome. Matt Loon, I've interviewed on this show. And he talked about the power of storytelling, and you talked about him in there.
Yeah.
And stories are so important to this being a great salesperson. Make the connection between stories and being a great salesperson.
Well, stories are how we build the empathy. That's how people see the heart that's in us. So let's say you tell me, let's use the copier example again. Okay, so the person is the prospect. They're the ones who would be buying the copier. And they're saying how the machine that they have constantly gets jammed. Let's say I'm making this up. Constantly gets jammed, and it's really causing frustration in the office. Okay. And so that has to be resolved. Now, I could be telling a story. Maybe I never had that experience with the copier, but maybe I had another experience in business that frustrated me. I could very easily tell that story and say, I understand why this would be a problem. I can remember when happened, frustrated as well. And here's why we were able to resolve it and offer a solution in that particular case, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the copier. Now, I bet you somebody's just going to say, but Stacy, isn't that me? No, because my prospect told me their problem. I didn't go in telling them what their problem was. They're telling me, and now I'm matching with understanding. A story can help them see. I'm not just saying I understand. I'm
Right.
saying, yeah, I've lived through something like that. Not exactly the same, but I can appreciate what you're going through.
And this is where we connect empathy with vulnerability.
Yes.
Because and by the way, I don't think salespeople and sales managers really care for the word vulnerability. Well, I don't even know that most of us as human beings care for the word vulnerability. But
How could you? If you're going in with armor, why would you even consider being
mm,
vulnerable?
but vulnerability is where we connect at the deepest
Mhm,
levels, isn't it?
mhm. Exactly. That's why I'm saying these stories prove our experience. Now, again, if it's coming from up here, and I know there are people who are really good liars and they'll make stuff up, but most human beings are not. I'm just going to say, in my experience, I can tell when someone is genuinely and saying, listen, I didn't have that experience, but I can imagine it might feel a little bit like when this happened to me. May I tell you what happened? And people are going to go, yeah, because we love to hear other people's stories.
Right.
And my willingness to say something about a time when things did not go well for me, that's about as vulnerable as, I mean, we're like, what is there's that funny commercial for one of the insurance companies where she's revealing that she saves her shrimp tails. Like, we're not talking about that kind of ridiculous stuff. And a story that shows that we can understand and takes us off of the script and into our own life. That's the kind of vulnerability we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's where we connect. But and here's where hear some pushback. And so I'm going to give you some. I know you've heard these before, so I know I'm not surprising you with anything I'm about to say. But I can hear somebody say in a corporation, because I live here in the Research Triangle Park, Stacy, that sounds great for B2C, but we're B2B here. That this doesn't work for B2B. It's a completely different animal. What's your response, Stacy?
Okay, so you've replaced all your human beings with robots, have you?
I love it when you do that. Well, no, Stacy, we haven't replaced human beings with robots. It's just that B2B is a different animal, and you can't expect people to try to connect on that same level, especially through social media, like you're proposing
Okay.
here. That just
Okay.
isn't going to work.
I hear what you're saying. And I know that that's the way it's always been practiced. But let me ask you this. Do your products solve a problem?
Well, yeah, they do.
Okay. People have problems. Your people are in positions that are trying to solve the problems that come to your company to get solved.
Mm.
All I want to do is connect with those people in a way that makes them want me to connect with them. And I'm going to have solutions that they're going to want to hear from somebody they enjoy hearing it from.
Here's where the you know what, this is what's so beautiful about what you're saying, and I hope people are hearing what you're saying, because at the end of the day, B2B, B2C, it's P2P.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
person to
it.
person.
P2P.
It's people to people. And you can never underestimate. Somehow we think that B2B sales are devoid of any emotion, that somehow all the decisions are made logically, that it's only price that matters. And that's how we make. Because if that were the case, then why are you interviewing anybody at all? Why do you have several companies coming in? If price is the only thing that you're making a decision on, then why don't you just look up who's got the lowest price and just purchase that?
That's exactly right. Just say, here's the amount, how much lower can you go than that? And it
Right,
really, and in a lot of ways, make life much easier in business. Absolutely true.
right,
Until the delivery of whatever it is you purchased
right.
and the customer service that stands behind it. And what happens if it doesn't work? And yeah, right. So we know that that can't be true. It isn't just price, it has to be everything. And if you are the company that's being sold to, aren't you going to want to make sure that the person who is selling to you is open, honest, and integrity and represents a company that they're in alignment with, and they're not going to be jumping ship immediately, right?
Yeah.
So that's why if you're the company that's hiring the salespeople, you want to be able to have people in those positions that can act like people to the other people they're selling to.
Yeah. You know what? No, like, and trust is universal.
Sure is.
This-
is.
You know what? We've been on for an hour. This has been fun.
Swoosh.
I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, because I've had a blast with you.
I'm so glad I have. This is my favorite subject. You know, I mean, I have other subjects I could talk about. This is my favorite.
Oh, stop it. This is your favorite?
This is my favorite topic. And I love you because you really helped me bring it out. So thank you.
You are so welcome. Stay with me. Folks, this is the show. You know, I say to you every week, you're in complete control of three things: your attitude, your effort, and your resiliency. I know your circumstances can be rough, but you know what? Take control of them, because you do have control. You have a choice. Matter of fact, Stacy even says that in your book. You have a choice. So take your choice of your attitude, your effort, resiliency. I'm going to be back next week with another great guest. It's going to be another great book, which means obviously it's going to be another great show. As I say to you all over the world, listen, you had a lot of choices. You chose us. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. And as I say to you everywhere, all over the world, ciao, everybody.